Lost in the Warp, faction of the universe's finest warriors battle in a no-hold-barred, all-out brawl for glory, honor, and blood. It's Deadlocked Arena, baby!
We're coming to you from the Warp with the Round 1 recap for the first ever Deadlocked Arena tournament.
I'm Craig Capital.
And I'm Harry H. Hostel. With the last match of the tournament wrapped up for Round 1, we saw a large variety of teams, each with their own unique strategies.
Match by match, each team battled head-on, and we saw a lot of good plays and a lot of not-so-good plays.
Call it like it is. There were some absolutely heretical plays.
In preparation for the next bracket, we're going to take a look at the Round 1 highlights, lowlights, and cheats. Taking it back to Match 1 of the tournament, we had the Deathwatch Veterans led by Coach Jack versus the Corsair Voids Guard led by Coach Ian.
This was a very controversial match. We actually had to replace our ref after this one. Regardless of the shady strategy by Coach Jack, Coach Ian was still able to rise above, although it was a close match.
I think one of the funniest things that happened in this match was in both of the coaches' first turns.
Deathwatch makes their own mad dash towards Objective 1 with their fighter. They drop a homing beacon, the first one planted in the kill zone.
The Fate Dealer hones in on the fighter with the beacon and takes a shot. He rolls a 2, 2 3s, and a 5. The fighter is removed from play.
Hey, isn't that the only Deathwatch player with a homing beacon?
So yeah, I wanted to save the equipment point on my guys, so I decided I'll leave it up to fate.
And some would say his fate was dealt. I can't believe he put a homing beacon on one guy, then ran him right in front of the Void Scarred sniper.
Which is bad because the game mode was supply run, and those homing beacons are the key to getting the big points.
I truly believe he just didn't think about it. But in a tournament, you gotta keep your head in the game. But it's just too funny that Coach Jack was gonna just leave it up to fate, and then the Fate Dealer immediately murks him.
But Coach Jack got his revenge next turn when he moved up his heavy gunner and mowed down the Fate Dealer, removing a powerful unit from play.
The Fate Dealer can only avoid the one attack and goes down.
And just like that, the Fate Dealer's fate is sealed as well.
Yeah, street justice.
In the beginning of Turning Point 2, Coach Jack had made a questionable play, and yet we still somehow allowed him to make this same exact play throughout the rest of the match.
You talking about when he misused Bolter Discipline strat?
Yeah, let's have a look.
The Deathwatch Sergeant moves to the edge of the building and fires a supercharged plasma pistol at the Soul Weaver. He hits with a 4, 5, a crit, and a second crit. Soul Weaver saves with 1 crit, but even so, there's no traces of him left to celebrate.
The Sergeant's second attack with a charged plasma pistol is aimed at the Void Scarred Warrior. He hits with 2 crits.
Is he allowed to do that? Doesn't Bolter Discipline only pertain to the bolter part of the gun?
Good question, Chris. But he also rolled a 1, so that's 3 mortal wounds to the Sergeant. That's the danger of supercharging. The Warrior is dead.
Yeah, Bolter Discipline only pertains to bolter weapons. He was definitely using a plasma weapon.
He was rolling hot, though.
Yeah, cheating and good rolls is a deadly combo.
Coach Ian made a big brain move at the very end of Turning Point 2.
The Fellark walks out from cover and the Warrior immediately overwatches with Hellfire rounds. He hits with a 4 and 2 criticals.
The Fellark saves a crit and a normal hit, taking a crit for 4 damage. The Fellark finishes his turn by shooting at the Warrior with a 3, 4, and 2 5s.
The Warrior manages to save 1, taking 9 damage.
Oh, and because of coordinated strike, the gunner gets to have a turn too. He swings around and hits 3 crits and a normal, decimating that Warrior.
That was a really smart way to use coordinated strike.
Yeah, he sent his beefier operative out in the open to draw out the Deathwatch's Overwatch, and then sent out his heavy hitter to finish the job when the coast is clear.
That move put the Deathwatch in a bad position since they had lost every operative except for the Sergeant by the second turning point.
That must have influenced Coach Jack's next decision, because here's another instance of him misusing bolter discipline in the beginning of Turning Point 3.
The sergeant walks across the rooftop and decides to make a plasma shot at the Wayseeker. He hits with 2 5s, and it doesn't look like the Wayseeker was able to save, and he's removed from play.
And for some reason, he's taking another shot?
Again?
But it hits the Hunter for 2 3s, a 5, and a crit. And the Hunter is gone.
Man, he's lucky that Coach Ian was going for points on his second objective, because if that was me, I would have used all the guys I had left and table him.
Well, he's not you. He was actually thinking about the tournament.
Saying he's better than me?
Yes.
Anyway, there's just one more thing I want to share from this match, and it's nuts. When you see it, you'll question how we ever let this slide.
Deathwatch Sergeant is armed with bolter discipline going into this turn.
Somehow.
Someone please check on this.
Fade Runner grabs another Spirit Stone and uses a slicing attacks on the Lone Wolf, rolling a 4 and doing 3 damage to the Sergeant.
That leaves him at 1 wound.
The sergeant answers by supercharging his pistol and takes aim at the Shade Runner. He hits with 3 5s and a crit, absolutely decimating the Shade Runner.
The sergeant shoots again.
Somehow!
To be the outer range gunner. And hits with 2 4s and a critical. The gunner manages to save the normal hits, but still takes the crit, dealing 6 damage.
Someone needs to inspect that plasma pistol after the game and make sure it hasn't been tweaked with. He's shooting out of
The
range.
gunner attempts to grab the nearest Spirit Stone, but again, the Sergeant supercharges his plasma pistol at the elf. He hits with 2 3s, a 5, and a crit.
He's supposed to be hitting on 4s due to the -1 on Overwatch.
Yes, Chris, but the gunner manages to block the crit, but still takes 10 damage and is removed from the field.
The duelist struts up the board and picks up a Spirit Stone, standing eye to eye with the crooked menace who wiped out his teammates.
Out of range, shooting more than once when he shouldn't have, and still lost the score to 11-12. Deathwatch barely managed to lose, and this has been the first match of our season.
Corsair Voidsguard are the winners, baby!
Man, shooting 3 times like that is crazy.
Yeah, and the second shot should have been out of range.
It shouldn't have happened at all.
But that was a good show of power from Coach Ian. It was definitely a needed comeback. He got whooped in the preseason.
Dog walked even. He had a real bad stocks coming into this tournament, but he showed us all that he came to play. Even though Coach Jack was dishonest in his gameplay, his sergeant really held in there and stuck it out to the very end, even if it was on his last leg.
That match ended with him losing 11-12. That's still a pretty respectable score.
For a cheater.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second match of the tournament, we had a very interesting matchup. Philgore Ravengers led by Coach Cody versus Farstalker Kinban led by Coach Alex. Mindless violence versus lizard birds.
I think the game mode for this match is my favorite so far, Cripple the Foe, where one team pretty much tries to scuttle everything, which was great for the goats, and the other team has to protect everything.
Coach Cody had a strong opening at the beginning of the match, using his Herd Goad to give his Shaman an extra APL, and setting himself up for a good match.
The Shaman moves up and opens the door and takes cover behind a pod. He then uses his extra APL to cast Mantle of Darkness.
That gives excellent cover to the entrance to that room.
Yeah, there's nothing the Kinban can do about those goads getting in there. Giving smoke cover on the entrance was real smart, making Coach Alex unable to shoot at any of the goats entering.
Yeah, you can't protect the room if you can't defend the entrance. In the beginning of Turning Point 2, Coach Cody made a game-changing move. It basically secured his victory right then and there.
Back to the other room, the Toxhorn uses his bomb with extreme efficiency, engulfing the entire enemy team in that room. The Warrior manages to escape the gas, even with the command point reroll from Coach Cody, but the Killbroker and Longsight both lose an APL and take 3 mortal wounds. Meanwhile, the Hound and Coldblood get away with only losing 1 APL.
Man, that smoke bomb is way scary.
That took some perfect timing too. He waited for all those crew to be bunched up so he can inflict max damage. Taking 3 mortal wounds and losing an APL is devastating, especially if you only have 2 APL.
Yeah, that's a hit that's almost impossible to recover from, putting half of Coach Alex's team at a big disadvantage.
There's not a whole lot I could pull from this match, as from start to finish it was exciting. This is definitely my favorite match so far. If you had to watch one episode from the first round, it should be this one.
It was a match jam-packed full of scuttling, and more scuttling. Coach Alex just couldn't keep up with all the scuttling and lost 5-11, making Coach Cody 1 point below Coach Ian going into the second round. Not a bad showing. Moving into the third and final match of round 1, we have Warp Coven led by Coach Jake versus Scout Squad led by Coach Gavin. And let me tell you, what a match!
I'm assuming everyone here has already seen the match, so I won't sugarcoat it. Coach Gavin got up.
The mission was gain vantage, which meant all the Warp Coven had to do was control more points than the Scouts by the end of the match. But during that match, the Coven demolished the Scouts, not even giving them a chance to score.
Now, I've never seen the Scout Squad in action before this match, and based off the setup phase, I thought for sure Coach Gavin had this in the bag.
Warp Coven win the roll-off, choosing to go first, which means the Scouts will deploy first. It's our first time getting to see the Scouts in the arena, so I can't wait to see what they bring to the table.
Coach Gavin uses forward scouting like 5 times and adds booby traps to the field, uses Divide on the middle sorcerer, and then proceeds to use Device Plan to gain an extra command point.
Coach Jake uses Exalted Astartes for free.
Yeah, the Scouts did like 5 things before the match even started. Surely that would have given them the advantage.
You would think so, but it went so horribly that we prepared a little montage of the Scout Squads getting tabled despite their best efforts.
One of the sorcerers moves up and uses his Flux Blast to blast the Rocket Heavy Gunner. Because of Blast, it's hitting everyone in a circle around him.
The Sniper Scout moves up to some higher ground and attempts to jump across a gap. He doesn't roll a 1, so he's good and makes it across. The commanding sorcerer uses Warp Portal to move into range to fire at the sniper with a flamethrower pistol.
It's so funny every
That's why I was laughing, yeah. Yeah, he literally teleported to burn you.
I don't know, man.
He literally used like Rick's portal gun to burn you alive afterwards.
The sniper, too. Like the dude should be doing a lot.
The rocket gunner only makes 1 save, taking 7 damage, destroying him. And then the Thousand Sun coach points down at the Pistol Warrior, letting him know that he's next
Yeah, that's diabolical.
before moving up the field.
Scout Heavy Gunner takes a shot at the leader sorcerer. He hits with a 3, 2 4s, and a crit. And due to arcane robes, the sorcerer is only taking normal damage from that crit. But Coach Gavin uses a command point for the emboldened aspirant to turn it back into a critical. And the sorcerer saves 2 normal hits, taking 9 damage.
That was like ping pong.
Emboldened aspirant.
Coach Gavin wins initiative.
Let's hope that makes a difference.
Coach Jake uses Exalted Astartes for free again.
Scouts use Astartes training to allow the tracker to shoot twice. He fires at the sorcerer. He hits with the 5, and the sorcerer saves with the crit. He sends his second Pew Pew attack into the sorcerer again. He hits with 2 4s and a 5. The sorcerer is unable to save any of them, taking 9 damage.
The sorcerer goes to Objective C to remove the scout's only token from the board. Hey, but the tracker overwatches. He hits with a single 5, and the sorcerer saves.
Sorcerer continues and removes the scout's only token. Then casts Doombolt on the tracker. He hits with a single crit, doing 2 mortal wounds, finishing off the scout and ending the game.
Coach Jake has 2 models more than a square from their deployments for 2 points. Coach Jake also has 2 tokens on the objectives for 4 points and controls Objective C for 2 more points.
leaving the score at Warp Coven 8, Scout Squad 0. Warp Coven are the winners, baby!
Man, it looks like they really tried.
I think they really did. They almost got a little bit of points there in the end. The first few confrontations between the two teams just went too poorly for the Scouts, and they couldn't dig themselves back out.
That sorcerer really took away their only point last second. The Scouts couldn't catch a break and lost 0-8.
The ranking is as it stands. Coach Ian with the Corsair Voids Guard is in first place with 1 win and 12 points. Coach Cody with the Felgor Ravagers is in second place with 1 win and 11 points. Coach Jake with the Warp Coven is in third place with 1 win and 8 points. Coach Jack with the Deathwatch Veterans is in fourth place with 0 wins and 11 points. Coach Alex with the Farstalker Kinband is in fifth place with 0 wins and 5 points. And finally, Coach Gavin with the Infiltrator Scouts is in dead last with 0 wins and 0 points.
But the Scouts have a chance to redeem themselves in the next round, starting September 1st at 11 a.m. Central.
Thank you everyone for watching the first round of the tournament with us, and thank you everyone for the amazing support we've received.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out all the matches from round 1 for yourself. And if you have a favorite moment from round 1 we didn't show here, make sure to leave a comment and we'll be sure to check out all of your favorite moments.
Thanks for watching, and see you next time.